Hello, my friends. I wanted to share my thoughts this morning. There is a lot of interest taken in the word trauma these days, and that's very important. And it's interesting to see that people realize that trauma is not necessarily a question of war zones or hunger, famine, sexual abuse, killing, these kind of things, but that actually trauma is more a question about something happening in the outside world that affects us and how we deal with it. Now, how we deal with it is really the key word in this. And I was listening recently to a doctor in clinical psychology, and more so a specialized in hypnosis. And he was talking about how to deal with negative emotions. And when he spoke about this, he said that we have become really scared of what can be triggering in the world around us. So there's all these trigger alerts about this and that, but that we should stop focusing so much on the trigger alerts and more on how we deal with what's going on. He took the example of your average kid, as he was saying, that by the age of 20 already has experienced via TV and movies and all of that, about 20,000 murders, okay? So we can't actually change what's happening around us. The only thing we can change is our experience. So that means our perception of the situation and how we will then deal with it in order to actually move on. And that is kind of what trauma actually is. You see, it's an experience that we've had that we have not been able to deal with, and so it has become stuck inside of us. And it is only when we can resolve it and that we can progress and move on that the trauma actually is released as well. And the common denominator, I want to say, or the base of what is happening in that situation is coming from an idea of helplessness that we keep with us. So when there's something traumatic that's happened, we feel helpless, and this is why we stay with it, why it's stuck with us. So if we instead, for instance, he was then talking about hypnosis, can deal with the emotion that was around this situation, the situation itself through hypnosis, and then learn that actually we can control our situation with the emotion because we're in hypnosis, so we can stop the hypnosis whenever we want to, then we can actually surrender the trauma of it and move on. Now, this is exactly, on a certain level, what happens with our bodies. So we have all been taught, more or less, that we are not really in control of what is happening to our bodies. And when I'm talking about our bodies, I'm talking about everything that we experience. So this is, of course, how we sleep, how we feel about hunger, how we deal with hunger and food, and how we deal with emotional situations around us, how we deal with how our bodies feel and look, and how strong we are, right? None of that have we been really taught from the beginning that we are in control over, which means that we usually feel quite helpless to any kind of, let's say, negative event, such as illness or simply imbalance that comes our way. Your way to actually come over the trauma, we can call it, whatever is the bother that you have, whether it's sleep or food or, you know, weight loss, hormones and all of that, is to learn how to control your own situation. And you learn how to control this by understanding the simplicity of your personal constitution. So if we can actually come above the idea that we are helpless in our problems with sleep, that we are helpless in our problems with weight loss, that we are helpless in our emotional situation. And instead, destigmatize actually that state into, well, it's basically A plus B that brings C. I am like this, the situation externally is this, and the reaction is that. Then I will re-empower, let's say, myself. And that's also, of course, how I resolve the situation. So this is exactly what working with me in the program, Nourish, Balance, Thrive, will bring you. We're starting on Monday, so get in touch already now so that we can bring you on the project.